The topic is how to get jobs in commerce and finance easily. First of all, nothing is easy in the world. You have to do hard work. Now, if you are not getting job in the area of your interest, which I have mentioned in my earlier articles also or video you can check on YouTube, that is how to succeed in life. That's the topic of that video. And my YouTube channel name is Think in English @Tarun Soni UK. You can find it on YouTube. Think in English @Tarun Soni UK. Now, if you're not getting job in your area of interest, then try to find your area of interest first of all. Then throw yourself in doing job in that field mentioned in number 1. In Hindi there is a saying "Raha pakad tu ek chala ja," which gives you compounding effect and increases your experience. Later it will give you raise and promotion also. Firstly, it may happen that you will not get job in your area of interest 100%. Means it may happen that you will not get job which is related to your area of interest 100%. For example, when I started my career after MBA, I got a job. I started my career in which my area of interest in that job was only 10%. Rest it was something which I hated. Now there's a saying, but beggars can't be choosers. So I wanted something which should be related to my area of interest, which was Indian income tax. So I compromised, adjusted, and then waited. Means I compromised that okay, at least something I will get hands on experience related to my area of interest. So I shook hand with that job, which was Sapient. It's a good MNC, multinational company. You can note down the company name Sapient, SAPIENT. You can also try for that company, which takes freshers. I started my career in the field of finance, but domain was not 100% Indian income tax. So I adjusted somehow and waited for a good job and company which would offer me 100% work related to my area of interest. Later, multinational company you have to start with, or maybe any Tom, Dick, and Harry company. So I adjusted. You can also adjust somehow and wait. Later, when I got offer from a good company, which was one of the biggest four companies of the world, not only India but world's biggest fourth company. How I got job? I adjusted my profile and domain in front of interviewer to show that my work experience in the previous company, which was Sapient, it was 100% related to Indian income tax. Now, when I got offer from that company, the world's biggest company, I adjusted my profile and domain in front of interviewer to show that my work experience in previous company Sapient was 100% related to my area of interest. Now, if I had told them the truth that old company only 10% was related to my area of interest, which was Indian income tax, then definitely the possibility of getting that job possibility was far reaching thing. They would have not even considered my CV or resume in first round of interview if I had told them the truth that it was just 10%. So I told them only those cases and incidences which was related to my work, which was in the area of Indian income tax. Since it was my area of interest, so I was able to tell them vividly and with deep interest. So I took help of my personal contacts and spent money even out of my own pocket to solve the queries of customers of the company in my old company, which was Sapient, and got good feedback from the customers, which were employees basically of the companies. So if I give you bird's eye overview, how we used to work in Sapient was we used to get queries of employees related to Indian income tax and solve them. If they are satisfied with the answer, which would save tax for them, so they will give good feedback, which I got, no matter it was only 10% of my work. So that 10% I converted into 100%. I adjusted and played some tricks and ropes. So I told to interviewer some sections of Indian income tax, which is basically a law. If you're a commerce graduate, so you know that. Which the interviewer himself did not know those sections. So I told them with deep interest, sir, this is how I interpreted the law, those sections, and helped the employees, and which resulted them to have saving of tax, and they gave me good feedback. But I had done deep diving in Indian income tax law. I spent 2 years in reading and took two coachings for the same. I got 100% marks in that subject in my college. So I wanted to make it as my majors, my career. Now it is imperative that you may not get job related to your area of interest initially, which in like it was in my case at the outset. You may have to start doing something entirely different, or may have to compromise, adjust, and wait, like I did. I mentioned in this article, but friends, somewhere or the else, everything matters. Be it study, any work, any experience, which I have mentioned vividly in my previous articles and podcast. This I have explained in my previous article also. How to succeed. Later, to get job of your area of interest, you can read my those articles and those videos. Now to get job, you need to fix a field in which you want to work. Later, fix a domain. For example, in my case, field was finance and domain was Indian income tax. Because when you try to make a profile on Naukri.com or LinkedIn.com, you need to choose field. And then you have to choose domain. Domain is very specific to the point. When I wanted to do job as fresher, I started searching job. I played a trick that while doing first job in Sapient, which I mentioned earlier, in which only 10% was related to my work, my area of interest. So I wanted to change my job at the earliest. What I did was, during lunch break, I started going to other companies, having my resumes and CVs in my hand. Which was very close to my present company, like where I was working. It was fully. So where I was working, it was a SEZ, Special Economic Zone, in which other different companies' offices were also there, different buildings. Now, I took some copies of my resume and started visiting different companies in the same area. If I could see anyone walking with badge, that is ID of some company, for example, when you wear badge or ID of some company, they give you tag of the same company having printed the name of the company. So wherever I spotted any employee walking with that tag or ID of the company, I gave them my CV or resume for referral. Because approaching directly to HR or the interviewer of any company is difficult. Directly you cannot approach HR or interviewer of the company until and unless if direct walk-in interview is going on. Direct walk-in interview means no prior fixed appointment has to be taken online for meeting HR. So I started giving my CV or resume to employees coming out of office so that they can refer and email to their HR. So I would receive interview call from them. Now why I'm telling this, because when I gave them my CV or resume, they straightforward asked me a question that which domain you want to work in. I told them finance. They said finance is fine, but which domain? Same question, that which domain you would be asked again, because I told them as I'm a commerce graduate, but domain is very necessary. Each and every employee to whom I gave CV or resume, they asked me the same question. So for domain, you would have to find out your area of interest, which I mentioned earlier. And when you apply online, there also you have a column called domain in which you have to select. Now coming to the point, if you're not getting job in your area of interest, specifically in commerce finance field, then I would say you can start searching job in the area of invoice processing. Now in this, what happens is you don't have to have much deeper knowledge of any topic. We assume that you are commerce graduate and you have studied, so I assume that you have studied accounting basics. Now rest I will continue in my next video podcast. But all in all, I have told you invoice processing you can go for if you're not getting job in finance. So go for invoice processing.